Hey guys, this is Sarah Elena. Thanks for joining the channel today. If you don't know me, I help people with moving to Costa Rica. So all the logistics A to Z. And today I want to talk to you about some of the really big mistakes that I made because I really don't want you guys making the same ones. So I'm just going to talk about some of the top mistakes that I made for my move to Costa Rica. Because again, if you're going to be moving, you don't need to reinvent the whole wheel. There's been a bunch of us who've already done it. And honestly, maybe even think of these mistakes if you're thinking about other countries too. Not everyone's moving to Costa Rica, and that's okay. So really, it could just be mistakes that I made when moving abroad that perhaps, you should think about for yourself. Some of these are going to be like, duh, Sarah, like, are you an idiot? Well, I kind of was. I was a little bit of an idiot in some of these things. So please don't judge me too hard. This was 9 years ago. I've pretty much felt like I've grown up into my adulthood here in this country. So things are a lot different now, obviously. But again, I do like to share them because no matter what age we're at or what stage of the move we're at, hopefully you can get something out of this video. And again, as mentioned, I do help people with their move. So gosh, we have one-on-one services for relocation. I got my do-it-yourself move to Costa Rica e-course that does have weeks of group calls with me that are really amazing group of people in both of our programs. Scouting trips, of course, I help and plan and execute those. Those are customized specifically to you. And then we have our retreats, which are amazing. Retreats, in-person experiences, week-long. Can't speak highly enough about them. I do those with Michael Allen. He's a blast. So yeah, those are amazing. And the last thing I wanted to tell you, was the Purda Vida Perspectives podcast. So me and one of my very dear friends, Jairo, who rents out cars, we have a podcast together. And it's on Spotify, Apple, like you can find all the links down below. It's awesome. We talk about Costa Rica, and it's not like a regurgitation of this YouTube channel. It's helpful information and things about Costa Rica, but also our personal perspectives, things that we've personally been through. So it's just kind of a cool way, I guess, for you to get to know us, but also get to hear things about Costa Rica. And again, if you're just like down the Costa Rica rabbit hole, why not go for a podcast too? All right, so let's get into it. Some of the mistakes that I made. Number one big mistake I made was I did not have employment when I moved to Costa Rica. Again, that sounds like a kind of an obvious, right? Oh, I thought I turned on my AC, but I didn't. Sounds like an obvious, right? Like, of course I should have had employment moving to a foreign country, but believe it or not, sorry. Oh, Jesus. Okay, there we go. It's getting hot in here already. It's Costa Rica, man. It's hot. I live by the beach. I didn't have employment when I first moved here. So I was a social worker. If any of you, some of you know this already, some of you don't. I was a social worker in the United States. And I was 23 when I moved. So I was at a point in my life where, I'd already finished college. I was working. I'd worked since I was 13 years old, pretty much. I've always been doing something. And I was kind of like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Like, why not? Let me try it out. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just come back. I understand a lot of you that are moving are at a different points. You're at different points of your life. You do have a lot to lose. You might be selling your home. We do work with people that are downsizing 30 years of a home that they've been in, or they're retiring. We actually work with a lot of families who have kids. So we'll get into that. Like now, if I were going to move to a foreign country, I would do it so much differently than how I did, because now, yes, some of you may know, I have a daughter. My daughter was born here. I have a home now. I have like a more formal lifestyle. So I did move without employment. I did have some savings. So again, like I had minimal savings. I guess what I would consider now is minimal. I had $5,000 in savings when I moved. So very quickly, okay, and then so this is mistake number two. I had minimal savings. I had $5,000 in savings when I moved. And so I guess mistake number three was I didn't know the labor laws for this country. I would have been that person getting yelled at on Facebook going, what jobs can I find in Costa Rica? Like that would have been me. People would have been yelling at me going, you can't come and take jobs from locals. I agree. I totally get it. I was really naive when I moved. Again, remember, this was a long time ago. So no, I didn't come with employment because I just kind of figured I'd figure it out, which I did. Obviously, it all worked out, but I wouldn't recommend it. It was very stressful. These are mistakes that I made. Again, the minimal savings. It lasted. I assume like I definitely burned through that. Like that went because I also didn't realize how expensive Costa Rica was. That was another mistake I made. I didn't budget properly. I didn't know how much anything costed here. I had no idea. So what was kind of my saving grace was that I got into online work pretty quickly. So I had a friend who was working online, and I said, well, what do you do? And she said, I'm a virtual assistant. I said, all right, well, I'm going to do that too. And so I kind of started my career as a virtual assistant, picking up different clients. I worked for a tax company. You know, over the years, I developed a lot of, clientele through online work. And that actually worked out really well because I learned so much doing those all kinds of different works for clients that I was able to start my own business. For example, I learned how to build websites. And so then I build all my own websites. So the website that you guys maybe book a call through or that you're going to go check out after this, I made that myself. So I don't need to call anybody to update any colors. So that's, just not having the employment. So that was stressful. I started teaching English online to Chinese people. I mean, I really had to hustle and move it along. So you don't want to move to a foreign country and then have to be in this survival mode. That's what I would say. For years, I was in survival mode here in Costa Rica, even after having employment. A year after I moved, I got pregnant. Survival mode again. How am I going to provide this lifestyle for me and my baby? And I almost thought about moving back to the United States. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go be a normal person again. But I'm really glad I did stay and it worked out. Things just seem to work out, don't they? So no employment, having the minimal savings was a huge mistake. Not understanding the labor laws here in the country that no, you can't just come and work. If you're wondering what the labor laws are, I did a video not too long ago about either making money in Costa Rica or legal ways for working in the country. So we'll link that video down below as well for you so you can check that out. I'm not going to get into that topic here. So for example, working online is legal. Starting a business is legal, but there's some nuances there that you want to make sure that you understand too. So I didn't understand the labor laws of the country, but quickly learned, and good. I always wanted to do things legally. The next mistake was I picked an area that was not really suitable if you don't have a car. So when I first moved, my first 2 weeks, I lived 30 minutes walking up a giant hill. I remember the first time walking up there, I was with my friend, and we thought we're going to die. Like the sun setting, the cougars, the pumas, whatever's out here in the jungle is going to come out. It's going to eat us. I was like, I'm dripping sweat. I'm covered in mosquito bites. So picking your area wisely, and I talk about this in so many videos because picking your area wisely is so important. I love the area that I did pick. I ended up but I ended up moving to a more walkable town. That is where I had to make a shift because I didn't have a car for probably the first three to 4 years of my move. I guess my daughter was a year old when I got a car. So probably not till 4 years into my move, I didn't have a car. And I didn't have a car until my daughter was 1 year old. So I was toting this little baby around for, a while. So good times. But definitely picking, and the thing is, at that point where I was living in the southern zone, between Evita, Dominical, Platanillo, Tinamaste. Those areas are easier with a car. It's possible to live without a car. But at that time, again, I was in my early to mid 20s. I was good physical shape. I was fine walking around and doing things. Most of that time, it was just me until I gave birth. I understood the public transportation system, but of course, life would have been easier with a car. So, and then some other things that I would say were mistakes is I really just struggled with so many steps of the move in general. So for example, like all the logistics, like we help with a lot of logistics of, for example, phone. My phone, gosh, like no one explained to me how the phone chips worked. So I went to this little store, bought a phone chip, popped it on my phone and went, perfect, I have a phone service now. Great. Went back up to living, 30 minutes up the mountain or being up there. And what do you know, a day or two later, I run out of data. Then I didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do? Do I buy another phone chip? Like, I don't know what happened. Why is my phone not working? I didn't understand. So, that was hard to navigate. And that's something so simple from where you're coming from. So there's all these small things that you have to learn how to navigate. And if you don't have the help or connections, it can be really frustrating. So that was a mistake, I didn't have someone to help with these little things that were going to come up on my day-to-day, which is why I like, helping people so much on this. Another would be banking. The banking example. Opening up a bank account was a total pain. That could have been way easier if I had had help with it. Another fun story is when I was going to buy my first car, I didn't know that I couldn't just transfer, $6,000 from the United States to my Bank of Costa Rica account in Costa Rica. Of course, that transaction was going to get blocked. So my first car purchase was just a total pain because I didn't understand that I wouldn't be able to send that amount to myself. I couldn't figure out how to get the money here. So Just banking, that was another fun little banking mistake that I had made. Packing, not really understanding what, I feel like overall I did bring pretty practical things. I only brought 2 suitcases. So that's the thing. I brought light clothes. I did do some research on what I should bring. I brought my necessities. I brought my electronics. But packing, I probably, if I had known better, I probably would have left some things and brought some other things too. Budgeting. So again, like I said earlier, I didn't know really how much anything costed in the country. I didn't know what the cost of living was as to where I was going. When I moved to Costa Rica, I would say things were pretty cheap. Again, that was 9 years ago. Things have definitely gotten more expensive over the years, but budgeting wise, I really didn't know. I didn't know how much anything costs. So again, this is where I was kind of not making smart decisions. If I'm thinking, I got $5,000 in savings, I don't have a job. How long is that going to last me? I don't know. Again, no wonder I have gray hair already, just for all this stuff, the unnecessary stress that I've added to myself and I've had to learn. So this is why I don't want you guys to have to go through this. And then the insurance and medical, the good thing is I never had an insurance or like medical emergency. So I never really had insurance here in the country. I did, now I have it. So now, I have my residency, I'm under the CAHA, I have private insurance. Like if in case anything happens now in my life, we're fully covered. However, in the past, when I first moved, there was probably years that I didn't have any coverage. Again, thank goodness nothing serious ever happened. But if it had, that would have been a major, major mistake. Although paying out of pocket for things in Costa Rica has been pretty affordable, if there was a major medical emergency, that would have gotten really expensive. And that probably would have gotten really expensive, and out of pocket probably would not have been doable for me, especially with the income that I was making online and, my lifestyle at that time. Maybe even the savings that I would have had left definitely would not have covered like a true medical emergency. So these are just some of my mistakes. Again, and again, you can apply this to anywhere that you're going to move. Life is full of mistakes sometimes. We make mistakes. We have to learn from them. It's all good. I'm just sharing with you guys some of the mistakes that I made. I know that some of you will say, well, duh, of course I'm not going to move without income. Well, some people still do it. I still have calls with people that maybe haven't sorted it out yet, which is fine because they're like, I need to sort out my income before I can move. And I'm like, amazing. You're on the right track. Perfect. But others, are like, well, I'm going to go and figure it out. So I wouldn't recommend it. Depends on your situation. And again, these are just my personal experiences. So I like to share them. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm not going to make this video too long. And again, if you need help, if you're moving to Costa Rica, so down in the description below, you're going to find information for all the things that I've mentioned. So number one, there will be a link to book a call with me, but I do please ask that only book that call if you are serious about moving or taking a scouting trip and you're ready to take action. Those calls are for people that are ready to do something. Even if you're not moving for another year, but you're ready to start having that month-to-month plan and working on things, perfect, no problem. If you're not sure if you even want to move to Costa Rica, or you're just like, oh, I don't know, that wouldn't be the right time to book a call with me at all. There's so much information out there online. There's my videos, there's videos of so many other people, there's articles, there's books. There's so many things that you can do in order to get to that point. I'm going to help you once you've decided that you want to take action in exploring Costa Rica on a scouting trip, or coming down for your relocation. Or maybe you want to come down for a retreat, or again, check out the podcast. So all that stuff's going to be down there below, and I appreciate you guys listening, and I will see you in the next video.